You don't wake up one day and suddenly become powerful. You don't accidentally stumble into greatness. No, it happens quietly, in the moments nobody sees, in the choices nobody applauds. Every single day, you're either sharpening your mind, letting it rust. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Your life right now is a reflection of what you chose to learn or ignore yesterday. So if you want a different life, you need a different daily discipline. Let me give you 3 truths, 3 principles that can change everything if you live them, not just hear them. Let me tell you something that sounds simple, but will challenge everything you think you know. People say knowledge is power. You've heard it your whole life. Teachers say it. Speakers repeat it. It sounds right, feels right, but it's missing something critical because knowledge sitting in your head, doing nothing, that's not power. That's potential. And potential doesn't change your life. Applied knowledge, that's where the shift happens. That's where doors open. You can spend hours reading books, highlighting lines, filling notebooks with ideas. You can watch every motivational video, listen to every expert, absorb all the information in the world. But if your feet don't move, if your hands don't build, if your habits don't change, then nothing changes. You're entertained, not transformed. Look around. You'll see it everywhere. People who know exactly what to eat, how to train, how to stay disciplined, but they don't act. Their bodies don't reflect what they know. People who understand money, investments, savings, strategies, but they hesitate, they delay, they stay stuck in the same financial situation year after year. And then there are people with gifts, real gifts, talent that could light up a room, shift industries, inspire millions, but they sit on it, waiting, doubting, overthinking. And the world never sees what they were capable of. You have to ask yourself, what's the difference between those who know and those who rise? It's action. Consistent, uncomfortable, sometimes invisible action. I heard a story about a man, nothing special on the surface, no spotlight, no big opportunities handed to him. He worked 2 jobs just to survive, came home tired, drained every single night. Now most people in that position, they rest, they scroll, they escape, but not him. Every night, no matter how exhausted he was, he gave himself 30 minutes, just 30, to learn something new, a skill he believed could change his future. No applause, no audience, nobody checking on him, just discipline. Weeks passed, nothing changed. Months passed, still nothing. And that's where most people quit, because they want results before they've earned momentum. But he kept going. A year later, something shifted. An opportunity came, unexpected, quiet, the kind most people overlook or aren't prepared for. But he was ready, not lucky. Ready, and in that moment, all those late nights, all that silent effort, all that applied knowledge, it showed up. It spoke for him. It moved him into a different life. That's how it works. Education isn't a quick reward system. It's a compounding force, but it only grows when you use it. You don't learn just to feel inspired for a moment. You learn to build something that wasn't there yesterday. So every time you pick up a book, every time you gain a new idea, every time you understand something deeper, you've got a choice. Let it sit or let it shape you, because the truth is, what you do with what you know, that's what defines you. Let me slow this down for a second, because this is where most people get it wrong. We live in a world that celebrates speed, fast money, fast success, fast results. Everybody wants the breakthrough, but nobody wants the build-up. They look at a week and think, I can change everything right now. And when it doesn't happen, they get discouraged. They step back, they quit. But here's the truth you don't hear enough. You're not failing because you're too slow. You're failing because you're not consistent. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 week. They come in with energy, with excitement, with big plans. They go hard for a few days, and then life hits. Distractions show up, motivation fades, and suddenly that fire they had, it's gone. But what they don't realize is this: they're underestimating what they can become in 1 year, because life doesn't reward intensity, it rewards consistency. It works like interest, quiet, patient, invisible at first, but powerful over time. You read 10 pages a day, that doesn't sound impressive, right? Nobody's clapping for that. Nobody's calling you a genius for reading 10 pages. But do that every day, and suddenly you've read over 3,500 pages in a year. That's knowledge most people will never touch. That's perspective most people will never gain. Now imagine what that does to how you think, how you speak, how you move. Or take this idea, just getting 1% better every day. Sounds small, almost insignificant, but that's the trap. Because small doesn't mean weak. Small, repeated daily, becomes unstoppable. You sharpen your skills just a little each day. You learn something new, refine something old, improve just slightly. While everyone else is waiting for the right time, you're building momentum. And momentum, that's a force most people don't respect until it's too late. Look at the people who rise to the top, not just in talent, but in mastery. A lot of them weren't the smartest when they started. They weren't the most gifted in the room, but they showed up. Again and again and again. While others were distracted, they were focused. While others were talking, they were working. While others were waiting, they were learning quickly, patiently, without needing validation. And over time, something powerful happens. The gap starts to grow. At first it's small, barely noticeable, but give it time and that gap becomes distance. Then it becomes separation, and eventually it becomes something almost impossible to catch. That's the power of daily discipline. And here's the part people overlook. You don't need hours. You don't need to exhaust yourself. You don't need perfect conditions. You need commitment, 20 minutes. That's it. 20 focused, intentional minutes where you decide, I'm going to invest in myself today, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient. Today, because those 20 minutes, they stack, they build, they compound into something far greater than you can see right now. They start to shape your thinking. You begin to see opportunities others miss. You make better decisions. You respond differently to challenges. And slowly, your life begins to move in a new direction, not because of one big moment, but because of hundreds of small ones. That's how real change happens. Not loud, not fast, not overnight, but steady and unstoppable. Let me tell you something real. Something people don't always say out loud. Confidence isn't something you wake up with one morning. It's not a switch you flip. It's not something you borrow from a quote or fake in front of a crowd. Real confidence is earned. It's built in the quiet hours when nobody's watching, when you're studying instead of scrolling, when you're practicing instead of complaining, when you're failing and choosing to learn instead of walking away, because confidence doesn't come from hype. It doesn't come from pretending you've got it all together. It comes from preparation, from knowing deep down that you've done the work. When you understand what you're talking about, when you've put in the time to sharpen your skills, when you've made mistakes, corrected them, and come back stronger, something shifts inside you. You don't have to announce it. People feel it. You walk into a room differently, not louder, but stronger. You speak with clarity, not to impress, but because you understand. You make decisions faster, because you're not guessing, you're grounded, and that changes everything. Picture this. You step into a room filled with opportunity, people talking, ideas moving, decisions being made. Now, most people in that situation, they hesitate. Nirang shrink back. Nirang wait for permission. They second guess every thought before it leaves their mouth. But not you. You step forward not because you're fearless. No, fear is still there. But it doesn't control you anymore. Because you know you've prepared for this moment. You've invested in yourself enough to stand on something real. That's what education does. It doesn't just give you information. It gives you presence. There was a report that followed professionals across different industries. People who had to adapt, shift careers, face uncertainty. And the ones who kept learning, who kept growing, who stayed curious. They didn't just survive change, they thrived in it. Why? Because when you keep educating yourself, you're not stuck in one version of who you are. You evolve, you expand. You become someone who can step into new spaces without losing your footing. Knowledge gives you options. And options, that's where power lives. When you don't know, you depend on chance, on luck, on hoping things go your way. But when you know, when you've built that understanding over time, you don't wait for opportunities anymore. You recognize them, you create them, you step into them. That's a different life, because now you're not reacting to the world, you're shaping your place in it. Every day you choose to learn, you're building something invisible, but undeniable. A foundation, a quiet strength that doesn't need validation. And one day, when the moment comes, and it will come, you won't be scrambling, you won't be doubting, you'll be ready. And that readiness, that earned confidence, that's what changes your direction. That's what shifts your path. Not luck, not chance, but the decision you made over and over again to invest in your own growth. So here's the question, what are you feeding your mind every day? Because whatever you feed grows. If you feed distraction, you get confusion. If you feed excuses, you get stagnation. But if you feed your mind with purpose, with knowledge, with growth, you become unstoppable. No overnight miracles, No shortcuts, just a man or a woman who made a decision. Every day, I will become a little better than I was yesterday. And one day, that little better becomes everything. Educate yourself daily, not because it's easy, but because it will quietly build the life you've been waiting for.